Very excited. But right now, we're even more excited for our very special guest of the evening. Everyone, pop on your favorite captain's hat. Make sure you get your life preservers in check because we're about to go on the seas with my main man, Yatte. What's up, my man?
What's up? If I never get invited onto the Howard Stern show, at least I got to do it here.
You got to do it here. That counts, right? A little bit.
How are you guys? I'm good.
We're good. Now, before we deep dive into anything further, is it pronounced Yatte or Yachty?
I put it on the first Yatte. Like it's like a latte with a Y.
There you go.
That's how I try to. I thought I was picking a name that wasn't that hard, but no matter what you pick, you're always going to be telling somebody how you think it should be said. But whatever, just say it however you want.
Right, of course. But the best part about your name too is you actually have a rapper name. If you need to use a rapper name, that. And you could be Yachty.
Yeah, that's what honestly, most of my family and best friends that I don't see that often think that's what it's called. And I'm like, yo, it's the same word as latte, just with one letter off. But it's whatever.
That's great though. I love the name, and the great thing about a good name is it really just projects everything that you're trying to put out there as a vibe, as your music, and it's just so chill. I love listening to it, and I really, over the summer, I actually went on like a big yacht rock kick. Like I just started loading up like all the, the Michael McDonald's and some Phil Collins and just like the real good classics, and even some newer stuff like Thundercats, even doing some like stuff with Kenny Loggins. And I mean, it's a really fun scene, and the cool thing about it too is the imagery and the world building. To me, like it's its own thing. For lack of a better term, or maybe it is a good term to call it yacht rock.
It was when I started. I'm still somewhat close to there, but that was the idea when I'm 3 albums in now. It's it's starting to shift a bit, but I'll still keep calling it yacht rock because I want to listen to it on a yacht, and I haven't had the chance yet.
Absolutely, it's the. I mean, I can't think of anything I wouldn't want to listen to on a yacht than.
I'll keep posting your Bandcamp links. I think maybe if I post enough of them in, you'll have a yacht in no time.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's how it works.
Pumping them Bandcamp links out.
But then Bandcamp gets one tiny little yacht as part of the deal.
Of course.
And then they'll send me an email about it. Anyway.
Booyakasha.
That's right. But it's great. It's such a good feel good, and for the summer it's like perfect. But the cool thing about it is I like that it's its own thing, but it's also like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna put it out there, it's synthwave. To me, in my opinion, my definition of synthwave, and I'm really glad that you kind of put. You actually have a lot of genres down at the bottom of your Bandcamp. You're like yacht rock, synthwave, retro inspired. I forget all the different categories, but you check off a lot of boxes, which is really cool.
Yeah, I don't know what to call it. Retro is probably the easiest thing, but and synthwave. Honestly, when I started using that hashtag, I didn't know that there was a community. To me, a couple years ago, I thought synthwave was the same as vaporwave, where it was like a bunch of anonymous folks just like uploading stuff to YouTube, and I didn't realize that there was this underbelly.
Like, wait, this is a thing? Like, there's shows names.
Those anonymous ollie rides and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's probably maybe that's why I chose such a logo that doesn't have my face in it. I don't know. Maybe I had a similar idea back when I thought. That's what people do now, is be half anonymous. I don't know.
Yeah.
But your logo doesn't have any magenta in it.
It's true.
Yeah,
sacrilege.
Yo, y'all should probably kick me off the air because I can't stand pink and purple anymore. I'm so sorry.
Wait. We did have some. We have some show
I actually
notes.
dislike it. It just doesn't. do it. Like my brain doesn't react to it anymore, just because I've been around it for a couple of years now. So, actually, the Nightride logo is just straight up like Virtual Boy red.
Yeah, we don't care. We don't care about colors or what everyone else is doing.
Man, Virtual Boy. Now there was a toy.
But yeah, so you have so many things. Like you were the least sounding thing to synthwave that you could call synthwave, but also
it makes the cut barely.
It makes the cut, but it's cool. I mean, there's no neon lights, there's no gated drums. Like everything feels like live percussion. You got no 4 on the floor. Like I was actually trying to track your time signatures, and like I can't count. I can certainly maybe count like a 4 on the floor beat, but you're doing like some crazy like arrangements with, like I don't even know, 5/4.
Oh, there's a couple moments. Yeah, I'm almost always at least 4/4 times. I used to be in like prog rock bands, so I have a little bit of that in me. Yeah. I think a lot of us were, but there's like maybe two Yatte moments in history where I went prog, like full prog with like a weird time signature, but it is in there on the new album a couple times.
I've heard that. I've heard the influence. In fact, the first thing I wrote was progressive rock, and then I'm like, I can't put that first as like the first thing I hear. So I even put psychedelic rock, because I'm hearing like Beatles influences. I'm hearing like David Bowie influences, like all these like really groovy, really they're just forward-thinking artists, back in the 80s.
Definitely fresh.
Mob Tech says 5/4 Master Race.
I mean, how do you even count that stuff? Like,
you just grow up listening to Genesis and Yes, and then you just know how to do it. Yeah.
It's a wonderful skill, and kudos to your songwriting. Are you like the main, because you have like an ensemble, right? You have like a few
50
people,
different people.
Yeah, here's what I've been calling it lately, just to get, so when people ask like, is it a band or is it you? And I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of like Gorillaz, but I'm both Damon Albarn and Danger, whoever he had a couple different producers, but I'm like the Damon Albarn and the producer. But then every song has at the very least one of my friends or someone from the internet, and at the most, like there's been songs that have like 7 people or 7 of my friends playing different instruments, and I'm kind of just like the guy in the control, or the guy like putting it all together at the end and singing.
You're just putting it all together. You're fitting all the pieces together, and out comes this amazing yacht rock, synthwave, prog rock. Like you could like literally like. You could probably you could DJ like every party, like I think like even the rapper name, like you could just switch it to Yatte, and then you can like do some hip hop joints, and it's like a party wherever you go, which is in my mind.
One time I brought a little I did DJ one party, and I brought a little thing that said Yatte, and then under it said Yatte presents Yacht Fuel. And that was the name of my like show, my DJ. It wasn't a show. Whatever. I don't know what we call a set. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never been a DJ before. I literally just used Spotify and went back and forth between songs.
Nice.
But yeah.
But yeah, you bring the fuel, and I tell you what. Let's dive into a track by you. Now I want to play this song here. This is Time Wasted. And I'm trying to look at the album. This is from your previous album, right? This is from
Sweet Shelter. Well, sorry, what song did you say?
This is Time Wasted. Shadow
Work is the first album. Yes. Sweet Shelter's the second album, and then Yeko Emeko, that's the third album.
Yes.
I put them all out very quickly, so I'm not offended if you don't know which one.
Yeah, it was really, you kind of like just came out the gate. Like I think like 2019 was the first album, and then 20 and then 21.
I think it was 2020. 2019 was the first single, and then the whole rest of the album came out 2020 earlier. But it's the the beer bug or whatever. I don't know what we can say on on YouTube or whatever.
Oh no, you can say it all.
That gave me of all the crazy, of all the bad things that happened. It gave me time to make another 2 albums. So and my friends who also do it.
So when the shit show happened, you're trying to say
the shit show,
that thing,
the official global
that
shit
shall
show.
not be named.
The happening.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so this track here, this is Time Wasted. Do you have any like particular things that you want to say about it, or we should just?
This was the first song. This was the first Yatte song that I made. I was in an old band with my buddies. I made this demo years ago, and I showed it to them, and they're like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool." And I'm like, "Oh, but I want to make it now." And they're like, "Yeah, well, we got stuff to do." And I'm like, "Well, I want to make it." And that's kind of what led to Yatte and the band, this project to begin with, was me being impatient with my friends.
Nice.
And we all got older, and then it gets really hard to do something with your friends at the exact time you expect to do it when you're older. So I just made that song and invite whoever was free came and played on the song. My drums are real, guitars are real. I'm everything else. And yeah,
incredible.
It's the first Yatte song that made it was like a proof of concept.
It's like the old days back when they had like the session musicians. You know,
exactly.
Like you're in the studio, you got this guy just wandering in with a cappuccino. You're like, yo, get on drums.
Yeah, except it's my friends I've known for so many years. But yeah, whoever could make it.
That's awesome. All right, so here we are. We're going to be playing this track right here, and this is Yatte with Time Wasted right here on Nightride FM. Enjoy. And once again, that was Time Wasted by Yatte.
Nice.
Can I say it? Yatte? I don't
You
know
said
why.
it however you like, because at least you're pronouncing. At least it's like half. It's 99%. It's close enough.
I
It's
love
not
it.
Yat. It's not Yat.
Yeah,
It's not
Yatty.
Yacht.
Yatty.
Yatty,
Yatty. Anyway, so we're here to talk about synthwave and how you are nothing like synthwave, but yet you are like synthwave. So how'd you pull that off?
Well, okay. Here's the secret, and it's kind of controversial, but okay. So my secret is I barely listen to music anymore, except for I listen to like one song a month, or maybe like 2 or 3.
What?
Really, really intensely. If a friend sends it to me and it's like, "Yo, dude, you're gonna love this song," I'll listen to it. But like I listen to like 3 songs a month because I'm making music so much that like my ears don't want to do it all day. So I listen to like but I focus on the song really hard, and I try to like absorb all the secrets from it. And those songs happen to be from the years of 78 to 89. So
just a little bit of a different era, but it's still the same vibe.
I love all the synthwave people, and I get to catch kind of the new inventions during these shows and the hangouts and all that. But like I'm not listening to synthwave much or anything new. For like I'm old and grumpy, and I listen to nothing past 1993 probably.
Actually, a lot of the bigger artists don't listen, like in synthwave, don't listen to synthwave.
Right.
Yeah,
they're all in their own little world, right? And
no, because we're obsessed with
inspiration comes from.
Yeah, we're obsessed with the gear and the production style of back then, not of all the people doing new, like trying to mix in like EDM with it. Like that doesn't inspire me necessarily. It's a neat thing to do, but that's not what makes me wake up and go, "Ooh, what is that?" You know, like I got to figure that out. But you know, I'm not, and that doesn't mean it's bad or anything. That's just you got to follow your muse, you know.
Yeah. No, I totally get it.
And it just over the last 2.5 years, I listen to less and less music because I'm making it every day, to where like there's no reason to listen. Like I've already had my ears filled up all day with my own farts. So and my friends come into the house to add stuff to it or send in stems from across the world, and that's enough for me for the world of music until I hit run dry and need some new inspiration. But
right.
Yeah, that's the secret, is that I'm not really in, like I love this community, but I'm not really focused on it very often.
You're focused on your thing, man, and that's where it needs to be.
That's what makes me happy in my life, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely the key ingredient. And speaking of collabs, I wanted to talk a little bit about collabs, because you actually did the quintessential collab with Duet, and man, that song is excellent. I think, was that in 2020, 2019?
I don't remember. It was either I think it was 2021.
What's time anymore?
I don't know. Yeah, these 2 years went by so crazy. But yeah, Yeah, so I have him on my WhatsApp, and we talk almost every day, and we're like the same. He's like an English version of me, a little older, just a little, and wow, we have like the same brain on a lot of things, and so it had to happen.
It's that same vibe. It's that same, just laying out on the beach. You got the sun in, and you're just laying down on a blanket or whatever, or just driving across the country, with the top down, and you get that feel-good vibe, which is amazing. As far as other collabs, like I know you kind of have this like you said, with your friends, and like it's almost this like cool little session style thing. Did you ever think about doing any collabs with like any other artists?
Yeah, there's a few coming. I got one on Griff's next record. We had nice. we also talk every day. He's like younger than me, Australian version of me. So
indeed,
we also share many parts of our brain. So there's one of we made a song he plays it on his when he gets drunk, he plays it on his Twitch stream. Set. It's just the very end of the night. There's like 6 people left, and he's like, I'm gonna play this song I made with YATTE. So here it comes. I hope you're listening. Yeah,
I love his show, but for those of us here in like where Dennis and I live, it's 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
Dude, it's great though.
When I talk, so I can only talk to him right when I wake up and right before I'm about to go to bed, because Australia is in another dimension.
It really is.
And then I started on one with Primo when we met like a couple years ago, and she's waiting. I think she's waiting to do like some kind of, she's got some idea. She's got like a long-term thing about how she wants to put things out. That's fine.
Yeah, she's very particular.
Yeah. And we wrote a really funny song together. It's like, because her stuff's always kind of funny.
Yeah,
and I'm in real life, I'm funnier than my like music version of myself. But I went there, and so we wrote like a ballad.
Nice.
Ollie Ride, he's busy as hell, but we're talking about it. He like, after I asked him like months ago, I'm like, hey, you still want to do that collab? And then like 6 months later, this album comes out, and he was like, hey, good album. And yes. I was like, yes, what? He's like, yes. Yeah, let's do it.
He was waiting for that album to come out before he dropped his answer. Like, I don't know. But no, it was solid.
It's either way. I know how it goes with. Yeah, anyway.
I tell you what, speaking of new album, let's go ahead and drop something from the new album. I'm really excited to drop. We have 2 tracks, so let's dive into that. We're going to play Touch. Now, this is another just great tune. Now, I feel like this has some of those funky time signatures in it, but I could be wrong. Everything's thrown off for me, like time-wise.
Oh, before you play this, I need to get... Okay, so... My main collaborator, my main guy who I make a lot of stuff with is my buddy Paul Murray. He might be listening, so I have to give this disclaimer. He wrote a lot of this song and half the lyrics, and he's usually the guitar on most of my stuff. So he's kind of like he likes to stay in the shadows, but he's a big part of YATTE, and I wanted to make sure he got his due before you hear the song. He's even singing. He's even the singer in the verse. The only YATTE song where someone else is like the lead singer for a second.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
I love this song. This is probably one of my favorites from the album. So playing this one for me, and hopefully everyone that is listening will enjoy it. Once again, this is YATTE with Touch right here on Nightride FM. And once again, that was Touch by YATTE. And yeah, man, it's a great tune. Now, this is off your newest album. Your newest album is what?
Yeko Emeko. Clearly.
Is that what it is? Okay. Yeko.
It's the same language. It's the same language that YATTE comes from. So I don't.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeko Emeko. Now,
it's starting to sound like something you get out of Starbucks.
Is it like?
It does.
It feels like it's like Yiddish or something. I feel like
so. It's So me and Paul, who wrote half that song we just heard, we talk to each other in random words a lot to keep ourselves busy over the happening.
Nice.
And one sentence that he said once was, or I think we kind of came up with it together slowly, just like, what's the dumbest version of these letters we can put together in a dumb way. And I realized it's cool looking, like it looks cool. and it sounds like a Police album, like, you know, because their first few albums always had like those kind of like half nonsensical foreign, like
right?
Zenyatta Mondada, Regatta de Blanc, or like Yeko Emeko. And I was like, and it kind of there's a couple policey moments on the record, so I was like, yeah, it's kind of got that like that attempt at being exotic thing,
right?
Which some of my songs do on the record.
Yeah. That's actually pretty cool, and that explains the lower casing, because you're not even like giving any kind of like gravity to the actual words. Like you're just like, well,
it looks like we tried it in our Facebook chat, like different casing, because Spotify lets you do, you know, and the distributors let you do whatever casing you want now for the most part, except for Apple. So we're like, well, what looks the coolest? And then we're like, well, lowercase looks like, it almost looks like a vaporwave kind of word, especially if you space it all out. But I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, no one will find it. Not that they could find Yeko Emeko if they type it in either.
Yeah, good point.
But yeah, I love the styling, because it's like, it's kind of like yacht rock meets like, it's not a lot of vaporwavy in your sound, but like the aesthetic is definitely there. And
well, most of my influences have become vaporwave songs that, you know, that have been dug up from the vinyl pile.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of that stuff is stuff I listen to, you know, and it's like even like really corny smooth jazz I love, and a lot of that has become vaporwave, and so it's helped me discover some as well. But
that is great. But yeah, it's a great, you know, just a cool aesthetic, and I'd love to see you do like more of like a vaporwavy kind of album too, which would be a lot of fun too. Like you can kind of you know, bring in, I wonder what will happen if you like mash up synthwave and vaporwave.
I feel like it wouldn't work, because synthwave is all about the persona, and vaporwave is about zero persona. It's just about like it's like some weird ghost that lives in a computer made this. So I feel like there'd be like a weird mismatch. But also, it's been like 12 years since some of this stuff was invented, so screw it.
It's true. Yeah. But it is really cool that I like the fact that a lot of people that I talk to, and if you follow anything that goes on in the scene, every 3 months somebody says something like, you know, synthwave is dead and blah blah blah. And I just use the word synthwave. Obviously, we talked about all the genre spanning stuff that you do. But, you know, for like a dead genre, like I constantly see all these reinventions and these different twists on, because I'm sorry, nostalgia is never going to die. You know, we're always going to be looking back, because that's sometimes the only way to look forward, is to look back and to, you know, grab a little bit of the culture that went by you while you're not paying attention.
I was even nostalgic for times I wasn't even alive for. So there's,
you know what? Well, that's just it. Like there's a lot of people in the synthwave scene who were born in like the 90s,
2000. Yeah.
I'm like, well, what? How could you possibly know anything about some of the artists in the 80s? And they do, right? I mean, everybody can.
I was there in the 80s for a bit. I will age myself. I was not there in the 70s, but damn, I wish I was sometimes.
Yeah.
For music wise, maybe not for like those other reasons. But
get some good disco going.
I was a baby in the 70s, and
oh, by the way, guys, what?
Yes.
What do you guys think? ABBA is back.
Yeah, did you see that? They de-aged him like him like Scorsese did.
Yeah.
Is that what they did?
And they made them all Tron. And put them in Tron outfits. I gotta admit, the second song on their EP is not bad.
Wow, I gotta check that out. I didn't know they de-aged them. I'm like, I just thought that because they're Swedish. Are they Swedish?
Yeah, the Swedes.
Yeah, they just don't age.
They just don't age, right? I was like, well, that's about right. I mean, that's, you know.
No, so I think they kind of did like the Tupac hologram from 2012, but with them and they're still alive.
Because that's not weird at all.
And they motion capped themselves. So that's the other weird part, is it's going to be young them, but their body moves like an old person. So,
what kind of world do we live in?
I don't know. I don't mind. Northern Europe, like it's like that's what they got. Like, you know, ABBA is what they have. So like that's cool. I don't know. Make the most out of it. They're still alive to say yes.
Yeah.
Like have some fun.
Not that I want to tip our hand, but the last 3 songs we're playing tonight, they're all from Swedish artists.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and they got Max
go figure.
Martin.
They rock. They're just
plenty of music going on up there.
All right, speaking of good music, we have this last track here that we're going to play from Yatte, and of course we'll spoon in some of our Swedish friends. But this is a track. This is track 1 off of your new album, Echo a Mecco, and it's called Good Crowd. And I'm going to guess it's just about being around a good crowd of people, maybe.
Kinda. It's about, like, in a sentence, it's about realizing that you don't want to be hanging out with people that suck.
Yeah.
And so you go back to either being by yourself or to the people that are good to you.
To the good people, man. That's what it's all about. Surrounding yourself with good people, with the good crowd. And I love it. I love the vibes, and it's just good times. And I want to get on a yacht with you. This is a yacht song. Yeah, this one fits under the yacht thing, even though it's a little heavy. Missing Persons is who I was kind of inspired by. Nice. It's a little more in pre-punk cocaine, but yeah, it still fits under yacht. I think this one. All right, well there it is. We're gonna dive right on into it right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is a little tune called "Good Crowd" right here on Nightride FM. And once again, that was Good Crowd by Yatte. Love that, man. So fun.
Good. I'm glad my anger gave you something fun.
Yes. Because you sound like an angry guy, man. You sound like a real
well, it's like the Phil Collins anger, pop music, anger.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
Right.
he probably had an angry moment with an ex-wife. But he's doing it for your benefit, just having a good, making a cool song out of it.
Yeah.
And he's
he hits those drums. That's why he hits those drums so hard. He's like,
that's why his back. That's why he broke his back. He was so mad at 5 ex-wives.
God damn you! Smash his drum set. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's about. Though it's about feeling those moments and getting passionate in one way or another about your music, and you do that very much. Wanted to ask you, as far as like the yacht rock life, is this something that you kind of like vibed on as a kid? Like, did you like actually have parties on yachts or?
No, dude, no. I don't even think I would get one if I could, because when I heard about how much gas it uses, it's like I'm not super eco. Like
gas guzzlers.
I'm not like the most eco-friendly person, I guess, but like when I heard it costs like $100,000 to move the yacht around, like,
oh my god,
or something crazy like that. I don't know, but no, I do really like songs that sound really friggin' expensive, if I could pick a word.
Yeah,
like Steely Dan, especially the Steely Dan, their last 2 albums, Asia and Gaucho. Like those songs sound like they cost like $1 million, and I wanted to learn how I could make a song sound like $1 million. So that's kind of my experimentation. That's kind of what you're hearing, is me trying to figure out how to make my cheap rig sound like $1 million, which is way easier these days.
It is, yeah. But it is very authentic. I mean, I really got to hand it to you. Like, if I
learn about the gear, I learn about the old gear, and there's copies of that stuff now on via plugins.
It feels very vintage, and I know I'm saying that in retro. If we're in the retro business, and our whole livelihood is sounding vintage, but like you really sound vintage, man. Like, do you use any like hardware, or is it all like software based, or a little bit of both?
I do have my Prophet,
Nice.
the Prophet 6, which is kind of old. I mean, it's old based, and then I've got a DX7. I've got a couple Moogs and one Ensoniq synth from the late 80s, and I do use a lot of those. I have a tape echo, like an old tape echo, a real one, and so that's kind of where I get most of the.
That's all you have?
Well, that's all I have for analog.
Oh,
and then I have all the plugins that everyone else has. So
you see some of these artists where they've taken their entire attic and just turned it into a museum.
Oh my god! But it gives you that sound, and that's Just amazing that you can really pull off that authentic sound.
Well, I mean, the stuff I do have is what is responsible for a lot of the things that sound old, because the analog synthesizers and FM synthesizers. The plug-in versions of those don't actually sound legit. Like, they almost sound legit, and in the synthwave world, it totally works, because it sounds like it sounds close enough to what most people would ever think about that sounding like.
Right.
But if you really dig into it, you're like, okay, that's a plug-in. And I use plenty of plugins too, but I think it's good to have a couple real analog things at your house, at your studio if possible,
just to make it legit, which is great.
You want a little bit. You want it to be kind of have flaws,
Right. That's what it was. I mean, that's what I hear in your music, especially with the drumming and the instrumentation and even the vocals. It's not over heavily.
Flaws.
It's horrible. No, I'm just kidding.
But that's the thing, is that we look back, and some of our favorite songs ever from back then. You go look at the interview from like '85, and they're like, "Oh, I'm pissed about that song. It's like there's that mistake in the guitar we could never fix, and we had to get out of the studio the next day."
Well,
it was like, those flaws are everyone's favorite part. The artist doesn't like it, but it's
and
like
the mix down.
I leave them in there. Some of them.
some of the mix downs, like especially like in the back in the day, you had like 8 engineers in a room, like physically moving those sliders up and down, like to get a cut, like, and they would just do it like a live take half the time. And it's like, I didn't really like that,
and the producer would be like, "No, we've got to go. No, we've got to go. Can't afford it. Let's go."
Exactly. Now you can just stay in your room 24/7 until you just perfect it and crank out that perfect sound. But you lose a little bit in that perfect rendition when sometimes it's good to have that little bit of offness that kind of gives it that organic feel.
Right. Exactly.
But very good. One cool thing that I did like, your video for Time Wasted is probably like the most 80s thing I've ever seen. Now,
even though it's like pretty new technology, but
yeah. So you did like a little bit of like rotoscoping on that, right?
Yeah. So I found who was it? Someone was talking about Vice City earlier on this chat.
Yeah.
His name started with a D. I think he's gone now. But anyway, yes, that was him or her. But I loved that game, and I found a guy on Fiverr to draw me like one of your Vice City girls.
Oh, nice.
And so all I could afford was one picture of me. So what I did was me and my buddy Jay Tyler, he's actually like a Hollywood kind of assistant director that me and my buddies just happened to know. He's a really cool guy, and he was always just like, "Yeah, man, just ask me if you want something, if you want to do some fun movie making, let's do something." So I'm like, "All right, let's go. Where can we go to Malibu together?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then I looked up how much that costs, and I was like, "Okay, how about Galveston, Texas?" Which is kind of a dump.
Fancy.
Yeah, it's like a couple cruise ships take off from there, and besides that, it's kind of just like a dumpy. It's kind of cool, but it ain't Malibu. But and then I rented a Porsche on this app, like I think Toro it's called, where you can rent nice cars. But this Porsche was completely beat to shit. It smelled like cigarettes. But I gave him my camera. We put one of those little like extra lenses on the iPhone, and he just filmed me singing the song driving down this bridge in Galveston, and then I took it home. And I'm a music video director, like by day, I guess by weekend for a lot of people, and so I made one for myself. I found that guy on Fiverr. I'm like, make me into one of your Vice City girls. He did that, and then I found this thing called EB Synth. It's like an AI thing that can take as long as you have a piece of art that looks close enough to one frame of your video, it can try to extrapolate what the rest of it would look like, like animated as that painting or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so that's why I look kind of weird. Like my jacket like crawls up my neck, like, and becomes my ear, and like so that's the program trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And there's one perfect frame where it's the art made by the guy on Fiverr. It's like somewhere like 2/3 of the way through the video you can see, and awesome. It looks like me in Vice on a Vice City box. Yeah, so that's how that happened. And then I added like some rain and some like Memphis Milano squiggles and all this other 80s stuff.
But it looks great, man. It's just like very authentic, but it's hilarious that you're using like AI to like generate like footage, which, you know, again, the world we live in, man, it's something else.
Yeah. Like ABBA.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
they're like doing what I'm doing, but like 17,000 levels above it.
I don't think me and Jules even need to show up. Like maybe in a couple years, we'd just be like, all right, we're going to do our show, and like just push the AI button and like AI minutes, AI. I mean, we got Z's an AI. So, I mean, you know, what's going one step further, making everybody.
You show up and just say, hey, and then it's like, and then it extrapolates what you're going to say for the rest of the
entire show. That's great. I love it.
So we forced a bot to listen to State of Synth. This is
for 52,000 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of you know, things coming up in the future, any hot plans? Anything you're putting together, long term, short term?
Yeah, I this isn't like a plug. I just really wanted people to know about the fun stuff that's going on. Is like, okay, so I'm finishing up album 4 right now already, and it's
nice.
Yeah, I'm almost done, and it's kind of this one's gonna be a little bit more like 1978 to 83 as opposed to like 81 to 89. This is like going back a little farther slightly, so that'll be interesting. And then album 5 is in pre-production right now.
Oh my god!
And that one
you're having ABBA on.
No, that okay. So I'm branching out a bit from being like the Gorillaz style, and I'm gonna do a power trio with 2 of my favorite musicians. We've already made stuff together, and it works. So we're gonna do our Genesis Invisible Touch record together. You know, just spend a couple weeks together and make it. And so that'll be a different sound, a little more rock. I mean, it'll still be Yatte, but it's something cool that's down the line this winter. Gonna start working on.
When do you think your album number 4 is gonna be done or released?
I think I'm just. The last album came out in December, and that was like the biggest mistake ever, apparently. Like looking at the numbers, so
it's tough to release it.
I don't know. I might wait till we thaw out a bit. We'll see.
Holidays. There's a lot of people who are like traveling and stuff, so things like sales and Spotify plays. Around Christmas or anything like that, a lot of people are like tuned out.
The worst day, New Year's Eve. I've actually poor user is actually a good friend of ours. And he released his album he was like, I'm going to do it on New Year's Eve. And I'm like, that's a cool idea. And yeah, it was, I mean, it was a banging album. I mean, and of course he picked up the slack after a while, but it was kind of brutal because, you know, people aren't running the Bandcamp on like, you know, January 1st. They're like hungover, you know, laying on the floor like saying, is it Tuesday? You know, they don't know what
wait a minute. People are saying I should do a cover of Genesis. There's a couple out at this point. Y'all need to go. I have a cover of Duchess and on Spotify, and I have a cover of Turn It On Again on my Instagram and YouTube. So don't if y'all want to hear that, go hear it and get out of here.
So where can we follow you on socials?
Oh yeah, _Yatte on
Instagram.
On Instagram, Yatte World, I think on Twitter because they took the other one. I don't know. If you search Yatte most places, I'm finally sneaking up the SEO to where you'll find me.
Just don't type Lil in front of
it. It's Yatte.world on Facebook and Yatte_world on Twitter. And as you said, _Yatte on Instagram. And it's pretty easy to find you on Demdare Bandcamp because it's just yatte.bandcamp.com.
Very good, very good. All right.
Yatte, you have a party to join, don't you?
Yes, I'm at my dad's house, my parents' house, and they're having a house party that I've been hiding. Well, not hiding from. I want to do both of these things. So I want to do this interview and go to that party. So I gotta go.
Well,
good alcohol sitting out too. So.
Oh well, the good alcohol go far. You know, that's what is that even a phrase? I don't think that is. I just made it into one. Thank you so much for being on the show. We're just excited to have you on.
Yeah.
If you guys
thanks to all the chatters too. It's been fun reading. Y'all are funny.
They are. They're a unique bunch, for the most part. Go out and buy that album, man. It's great. You have 3 albums out now. Your latest just came out, and it's got a weird name, but it's easy.
Yakko and Mecco.
It's easy to
Drop
Google.
the links in the chat.
Yeah.
There we go.
And thank you very much. And yeah, man, enjoy that party.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Alex, for joining us.
All right,
Okay.
Mr.
Take care.
Neon
Cheers,
Fawkes. Cheers, my friend.